So today we will start with in the section of modes. There is a discussion about fate versus free will. What is fate and what is free will? The message of the Shastras and the message of spiritual life is meant for our empowerment. It is meant to make us more responsible, empower us. It is not meant to make us more fragile and helpless and hopeless. Simply cutting spiritual life as an excuse for everything and simply blaming everything spiritual for every mishap which happens, for everything which happens. So, therefore, uh, many times people start attributing the blame of the ups and downs on God, either directly or by saying this is destiny, this is fate, and so on and so forth. So, yes, the modes of material nature do force us or push us, do provoke us. The modes drag us. But there is a provision, arrangement by the Supreme Lord that we can change our modes if we want to. But once we take a certain amount, once we adopt a certain mode, then we are flown or dragged by that particular mode. But it is possible to change the mode. It requires some efforts, it requires some focus, some diligence, some persistence, but it is possible to change the modes. And when the mode changes, the effect changes. The effect on us will change. So if one focuses on, oh, the modes are dragging us, modes are dragging us, I'm helpless, the modes are dragging us. No, the modes are not dragging us completely. The modes work in such a way that if we want, we can get out of them. So if there is unnecessarily, so one saying dragging. Sometimes people say, what can I do? I'm helpless by the modes. What can be done? I don't want to, but I'm helpless by the modes. So, so this is simply cutting an excuse. First of all, it is we who adopt the modes, not the modes don't catch us. We catch the modes, and then the modes are sticky, so it takes some time to get out of it. But there is a provision to get out of it. So we see the provision how to elevate our consciousness. We can get out of all the troubles. But sometimes people they want to be driven into the sensual pleasures, but then they blame it on the modes. Okay, because the modes are dragging me. But who has adopted those modes? You. Who is not working to elevate your modes? You yourself. And whom to be blamed? You yourself, not the modes, not Krishna's arrangement, not God. So one devotee student one time he wrote a letter to Radhisham Prabhu. I call this letter as a love letter. It is because it is filled with all spiritual ecstasies which commonly occur, and so it's filled with all spiritual realizations and spiritual ecstasies. And so we want to go into this love letter, and we want to understand this very essence of the knowledge of the modes, of the knowledge of the fate and free will. So this devotee is saying, Prabhuji, I'm chanting Hare Krishna, but the doubts lingering in my heart do not let me progress ahead. Please help me with the right understanding. Srila Prabhupada told, chant and be happy. But I think it is applicable only for a pure devotee. Because I don't feel happy. Why is that? Some are very sincere from the beginning, whereas for some it is struggle even after spending lot of time in Krishna consciousness. Everything depends on our attitude. But all of us have a desire to have the best attitude, but only few achieve it. What I am trying to say, it is not as simple as it appears when reading. The qualities of sincerity, being obedient, are there in many students right from the time they come to Krishna consciousness, and for them it becomes natural. Whereas for others who don't have it, they leave. Some continue thinking that one day they will have it. When I read of Krishna reciprocating, I feel it is not so easy. He reciprocates very quickly if you have any material longings, as I have experienced many times. It takes years and lifetimes to get His mercy so that we can develop qualities described above. I read in some book that 70% of our personality depends on our past life conditionings. Does it not apply to devotees, as we are also humans? How quickly we take to KC, how sincere we are, how obedient we are. Do these parameters not depend a lot on the past life devotional service? I have tried many times being sincere, being obedient, but it never worked out. I tried many times to have good sadhana, but it never worked out either. I did not deserve or feel any transformation in myself. Even after 15 months, 15 months, आपके भी होने वाले हैं 15 months, right? 10, 16 rounds. 16 rounds. You're going to reach 1 year now, no? Less than a year, huh? After Utkarsha. So this devotee is chanting from 15 months. 16 rounds, 15 months. I feel only my external likings and food and clothing have changed. But isn't it more of being so long in the mood of goodness? We hear a story of a lion cub who from childhood was in the assembly of lambs, but the association of lambs was so strong that he forgot his fierce nature and became timid like them. My faith in chanting and in general devotional service has gone down. Still, we face the same anarthas. Many times we are told of cleansing the room analogy. That when you start cleansing a godown that was closed for a dozen years and lots of dust and dirt will start flying. In the same manner, when we begin chanting Hare Krishna, a lot of anarthas may rise in the heart, but in due course the anarthas will go down and we will develop love of God. But how long can we continue with this analogy in mind till we get a glimpse of it? Even when I was in strong association, I used to wonder how will I continue my spiritual life. My conditions make me a very complex person. I thought till now that chanting would help. But still, I think I'm the same person. I cannot see in what way Krishna is reciprocating spiritually. When I asked the senior devotee that I don't see in that way chanting has transformed me, he asked me, haven't your tendency to do wrong things decreased? Even before I came to Krishna consciousness, I never broke four regulative principles grossly. So it was not difficult for me to adapt. So where and how is the transformation taking place? By coming to Krishna consciousness. So this is pretty much the love letter, filled with all spiritual ecstasies or transcendental, lofty, hi-fi ecstasies. Where lies the fallacy in Krishna's arrangement? The degrading nature of this material world. That somehow the process of Krishna consciousness doesn't fit in. Where lies the fallacy? That needs to be understood. So, so what we want to do is that we want to take up certain different points which this devotee is talking about, and then understand those points in the proper context, so that we don't get delusioned or illusioned and misinterpret or wrongly understand things, as wrongly conclude things as this devotee is doing. Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is telling, Pratyakshaavagamam dharmyam susukham kartum apyam. That this process is not theoretical, it can be practically realized in experience. And therefore, it is easy to perform and it is very joyful to perform. So, the natural result of Krishna consciousness is one will be happy. That is why Prabhupada said, chant and be happy. But this devotee's first point is that I am not happy. Happiness in devotional service is a farce. That is what this devotee's first conclusion is. Where is happiness in devotional service? Where is happiness? Where is happiness? Where is happiness? Where is happiness? That is first point which this devotee is telling. So when Bhagavad Gita is telling, Susukham kartu bhavyam, Brahma bhuta prasannatma nashochati nakangshati. That one who is Brahma bhuta prasannatma, one who is situated on the spiritual platform, na shochati nakangshati, he neither laments nor is hankering. Which means what? Hankering, lamentation is the cause of misery. And one who is on a spiritual platform is neither hankering nor lamenting. Now the point which comes is, now this devotee is saying, no, that means one has to be on Brahma Bhuta platform, that is only pure devotees. Well, Brahma Bhuta is not a pure devotee, but it's a lofty stage. But although it is a lofty stage, we are not in a perpetual cage. We are not in a perpetual cage. The modes, we have to understand how the modes work. The modes encage us, but not for all the time. Which means what? If a person is in the mode of ignorance, then this person will be prone to sleeping, this person will be prone to criticism, procrastination, non-vegetarian, intoxication, self-destructive habits, and so on. The ignorance will push him in these directions. But now on a single day, ignorance is not active all the time. Suppose this devotee is, this candidate is up in his daytime, he's sleeping more. So maybe if he's up, say, for 6 hours or 8 hours also, and then other time he's sleeping, even if he's up for 8 hours, the modes will not be active for 8 hours. The modes will only be active, say, 5 to 6 hours. 1 hour, 2 hour every day, this personality will have when he is not in the mode of ignorance. What is it given for? When the mode of ignorance is not pushing him. That means what? At that time, he can change his mode. So this understanding is important. At that time, he can change his modes. He can actually repair himself. He can change his modes. So it is not. So this is the point, and this is what we have to understand it's not sufficient to say. That means what? Is this Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma verse applicable for us or not? Yes, it is applicable. How? How it can be applicable for a neophyte who is not Brahma Bhuta stage? Every person can become Brahma Bhuta at least for some time. And that is what the Shastras and Acharyas say. When you are practicing Krishna consciousness, you are beyond the modes. That means when we are heartily, attentively chanting Mangalarti, serving, preaching, book distribution, we are not within the moods for that time being. When we start thinking, oh, no, this fellow is not taking the book, I'll box him, then we may go down in some mode, Uh, uh, or we are thinking, okay, let me wind up and go back to the temple early today. I'll go to sleep. I'll take a lot of prasad. Then probably we are going down in modes, like that. Or we are feeling envious. This fellow devotee, he's distributed 30 books and I have only distributed 10. Then we are. So, but if we are focused, attentively serving, we are not within the modes. So, Brahma Bhuta state, everybody can taste it. But as one advances, that state becomes continuous, perennial. But for us, that stage will come and go, come and go. When that stage comes, we are na shochite na kankshati. Like people went to go to Mayapur, can new people they go to Mayapur, do they not feel ecstatic? Did you not feel ecstatic in your first kirtans at Mayapur or Surti camp or Utkarsha camp? No, do you not feel ecstatic? How many rounds you were chanting? How many rounds people chant when they feel ecstatic at that time? Sometimes one round, sometimes not even one rounds. That makes them to chant one round, 4 rounds, is it not? So ecstatic feeling is experienced, can be experienced by anyone. So the only problem is the neophyte is not able to hold on to that high level, so immediately falls off. But an advanced devotee can stay at that level, stay high forever. That was the mantra in the proper times. Stay high forever. So everyone can go high, but neophyte cannot stay there. It just falls off, drops down with the third, dhup. Then what? Then again try to go up for some time. Then again one will fall. Then again try to go up. Slowly, 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 the downfall periods will elongate. The period between going up and downfall will elongate. So this is the process. So how can this devotee say that I don't feel happy? This is only possible when the windows which the Lord gives are not utilized properly. Rather, those windows are misutilized. So, therefore, the Shastras explain many times devotional service. What is the reward of devotional service? Actually, the performance of devotional service itself is the reward of devotional service. Because the performance of devotional service itself can make one very ecstatic. The day you chant attentively, how do you feel? The day you are enthusiastically attending the Mangal Aarti, how do you feel? Do you feel कि मंगल आरती हो गया अभी कुछ मिलना चाहिए रिवॉर्ड अरे मंगल आरती हो गया वन इज एक्साइटेड डूइंग मंगल आरती अनुज से ओके दोबारा गा लो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं that itself is a reward. But why while performing devotional service one doesn't taste that happiness? The reason the Shastras, one of the reasons the Shastras says that because within the practice of devotional service, one is having material expectations. These material expectations spoil the show. So, there are two things. There is bhakti, which is the primary thing. What is primary? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. This is primary. But then there are many secondary, which appear to be bhakti but are not bhakti. They appear somewhat like bhakti, but they are not bhakti. When people zoom and focus on the secondary and deprioritize the primary, then they will not experience happiness. Because if you eat, you will feel the taste. If you don't eat, where you will feel the taste? Is it not? Like rasgulla is there. On my show, rasgulla. But one is not eating only. It is just kept in front. So one is saying, I'm not feeling ecstatic. I am there with the association. I am there in rasgulla atmosphere. Are rasgulla atmosphere, you have to eat it up. Then you will feel happy. But if you don't eat, is there any happiness? Do you feel any happiness in seeing the rasgulla? Only in eating is the experience. Similarly, only in practice is the experience. Simply being in devotee atmosphere and not being oriented towards practicing is not going to help us. So, what are these secondary? These secondary are scholarship. I am a big Pandit, I know all the verses of Gita, Bhagavatam, and all that. Scholarship. Brahmanical rigid observances of rules. Very rigid. Tapasya. I am a celibate. Tapasvi, Ojasvi, Yashasvi, Tejasvi. Eh, eh. So, no, not say it, but there is an unsaid echo. Every Kadashi I do Nirjal. That is my power. One devotee used to do every Ekadashi Nirjal. And we begged him, we bowed on his feet, please take something, Prabhu's, please. So he said, no, no, Prabhu. He would not say it, but he meant that I am from a different cadre. Yeah, I'm coming from a different scale. Your scale is, okay, fallen conditioned souls. My scale is a little more, maybe a bit elevated conditioned soul, something like that. He would not say it, but that was the implication. But that's what he tried to, like that. And then he said, okay, I am not at all attached to anything, not even prasad, not attached to anything. So we used to, so he would take breakfast prasad, and then he would go to college. And afternoon he would prepare prasad for everyone, but he would never come back. And he would only come back in the night and take dinner. And we told him so much that, my dear Prabhu, please come back. He said, no. He said, okay, if you are hectic, devotees can take tiffin for you. He said, no. At least you pack something from the morning. Okay, he said, no. No. We can cook lunch early. No. Because in Jadavpur, this is Jadavpur's story. So in the Jadavpur voice, the classes start at 10 o'clock. So there is good amount of time. So renew that. What is the Falashruti of that? Did he go to Bhava platform, Prema platform? Did he join the entourage of the gopis? What happened to him? So he was like that rigid. And then what happened is, after a year or so, okay, so everybody started considering him as a very big candidate. Oh, it's a advanced devotee. Advanced devotee. It's a cater up. Jai Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani Sudharshan Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki. So everybody started thinking he's a cater up. But then after 1 year, at the end of 1 year, he got a terrific stomach problem. So he was taken to the hospital by his parents. So he had very severe stomach erosions and ulcers, very severe, very severe. So then what happened is that actually he was a Calcutta localite, but still his parents had given him permission to stay in our voice. And Saturday, Sunday he would go and meet parents. So that means parents were so much cooperative. And because he was a localite, and then he would go and come back, and not far also. They would stay in Behala, I think. They used to stay in Behala. Behala and Jadavpur not far. You can do up down also. Still, they allowed him to stay. So it was a big thing. So now this happened. The parents took him back. He was 1 month in the hospital. So it was severe. He was 1 month in the hospital. Then they got him home. They took away his mala. They made him feed non-veg. You know, and they said nothing doing anything further. So he could never come back to vice. He could never come back to 16 rounds like that. So you see the point. There are these secondaries of devotional service, and if one overemphasizes those, then one can get lost. So having right expectations is very important. Sometimes person thinks that okay, if you are a very good kirtaniya, then you are advanced devotee. Oh, you do kirtan, people are coming in ecstasy, and they are dancing like anything. Sometimes people feel that you're a good devotee if you speak very bombastic lectures like Gauranga Prabhu or Gaur Gopal Prabhu or whatever, like that. So they feel that okay, unless you can make people cry, unless you can there are thousands of people you can address and all that, and you have fan following worth millions, then you are not a devotee at all. So these are all wrong expectations. This has nothing to do with devotional service. Lokanath Goswami had how many disciples? His Facebook fan following was one. Is it not? So like that, you see. Uh, Sarang Murari Thakur had how many disciples? Saranga Thakur. Only one. And that also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pushed him. And that happened to be a dead one, so he brought him back to life, so he became a disciple. That was Murari Chaitanya, one of our very great acharyas, Murari Chaitanya. Sarang Thakur. Murari Chaitanya was a very powerful preacher. He would slap elephants and make them chant Hare Krishna. And he would slap the lions and make them chant Hare Krishna. For him, nothing was impossible. He was a terrific preacher. चार देखे तारे कहो कृष्णा उपदेश. He was following it. Very Chaitanya. So people have wrong expectations. You see. Yeah, yeah, they know the story. Sarang Thakur story, Yeah, because Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pushed him that you give initiation to somebody. Then he said, okay, tomorrow, first person I meet, I'll give him initiation. The first person he met was a dead body because that was floating in the river, and he was bathing. Some personality came and touched him, and he saw, okay, this person, I'll make him disciple. But then he was a dead man. So he said, oh, now what to do? I have to fulfill why I said I'll make him a disciple. So he prayed to the Lord. That person came back to life. The soul got back. So by his powers, and then he said, okay, you're my disciple now. Chant Hare Krishna. Then his parents came. Hey, you got back to life. And he said, no, 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 no. I was a dead man. My guru brought me back to life. Now I belong to my guru. I am not coming back. So that was Murari Chaitanya Thakur, very great acharya. So, because Murari Chaitanya Thakur was so powerful, Sarang Thakur is sometimes called as Sarang Murari Thakur. That doesn't mean Sarang Thakur was any less. He was a Mahabhagavat who made Murari Chaitanya, such a terrific preacher, like that. So the point is, the bhakti is not in externals, and therefore, if one runs behind externals, one is bound to be frustrated. There was one devotee in second year. What he started doing, he was sleeping at 12 o'clock every day, and he was getting up at 2:30 in the morning. Huh? And I told him, hey, what are you doing? He said, no, no, Prabhuji. I told him, why don't you wake up at 3:30? He said, no, no, Prabhuji. I want to chant some rounds before, like that. I said, Are like that you can do at 3:30 also. 12, 13 rounds you'll be able to chant before morning program. And 3 rounds you can catch up in the daytime. What's the problem? He said, no, no, Prabhu, we should be very like that. Then I got to know he's sleeping also late. Then I told him, what is happening? So then he said, no, no, Prabhuji, so many things. And I said, why don't you sleep early? I said, no, no, Prabhuji, it's okay, Prabhuji, I can manage. I said, no, you can manage is not what I'm asking. Why don't you sleep early? No, no, Prabhuji, I can manage. And I pushed him too much. Then I told him, what is this drama, drama going on? This is not Krishna consciousness. So his idea was what? That if you sleep late, you are more advanced. His idea was if you sleep late, you are more advanced. So that was his idea and understanding. I said no, that fifth year OC is sleeping late, na. I said okay, he can also manage to sleep early, but na, most likely he has much more responsibilities than you do, you know. So that's why maybe a little tight for him. Like I was working in a software HSBC, and then I was going 25 kilometers every day, one way, 50 kilometers to GGD voice, and I had service of taking care of the GGD voice. That means inmates as well as first year preaching. So I would come back, I would immediately go for follow up. I would first directly go for follow up. Then I would come back by 11:30, and some of the other devotee would be waiting for me because something would have lasted out and they are just waiting that I'll come and resolve it. And I would resolve that and then sleep. And in the morning, if I don't wake up, nobody will wake up. But they were all very young in GGD. Only second years were there. There was no preaching for 2 years. The fourth year batch, they passed out, and only second years were there, 10, 11 of them. And I was there. So we had a nice time together. So then it was very difficult. Now somebody says that okay, this fellow is advanced or this fellow is senior. Why? Because he's sleeping at 12 o'clock. I was not senior because I was sleeping at 12 o'clock. You know? And I had more responsibilities. That was the whole point. No? Uh, I have more responsibilities. But still it is possible to manage. Still it is possible to manage. And one can tune in and one can try to, that shampoo will help me to, balance out things and gave me, Shampoo used to give me day-to-day guidance, like that. But then, so this devotee was what he was doing, imitating. Just like that snake charmer story imitating Haridas Thakur. You know that story? Haridas Thakur came in ecstasy when he was chanting Hare Krishna. So everybody was very much moved that Haridas Thakur came in ecstasy and he was showing ecstatic symptoms and all that. But Haridas Thakur came to external conscience, he was very embarrassed. So just chanting, he walked off. He felt a bit embarrassed that he came in ecstasy and he fainted and all those things. Then after that, a snake charmer came. He also started chanting Hare Krishna, and chanting and dancing. And then he also started showing all those ecstatic symptoms. And what did people do when they saw the snake charmer doing that? They brought their shoes and they started beating him up. He had fainted and he was in ecstasy, and they started beating him up. Then so they had to run for his life. But when Haridas Thakur went into that, people were garlanding, people were dancing around him, people were taking the dust of his feet and all that. So why? Because the snake charmer was imitating. So many times people consider these externals and they want to imitate, and sometimes it doesn't work out, and then they say that I am not happy in devotional service because they say, okay, I went for preaching, and then this fellow is getting 5 people for Utkarsha. If I am not getting anybody, I am myself not willing to come. So this is wrong matrix of what is called as devotional service. So devotional service is okay. We'll stop here for today. Uh, we'll continue again in our next class. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Haribo.